My first sleeper is Andrew Abbott, who is currently going at pick 269. Um,
69.
this is definitely kind of a risky one. I think in terms of the ballpark is obviously like the worst ballpark for a pitcher to throw in. For anyone who doesn't know, Andrew Abbott plays for the Reds. I had to get at least one
Shocking.
Reds player in here, right? Yeah. I actually don't like Hunter Green. I almost put Hunter Green on my worst value. So
Wow.
yeah.
But then you didn't put him on because he's on the Reds, so you figured.
Right. And I love the Reds and no.
Yeah,
I listened to Nick Pollock quite a bit. I don't know if you know who Nick Pollock is, but
of
he
course.
is like
Big time.
pitching guru, right? And Nick Pollock actually believes that Andrew Abbott in 3 years could be the best pitcher on the Reds.
Hmm.
He could be better than Hunter
Yeah,
Green
but what
and Nick
about for
Lodolo.
2024?
And so, well, that's my point is 2024, is this a
And again,
sleeper at
there's some
pick
Dynasty League people
269?
listening here. And
Mhm. I feel like he's just it's too cheap of a price. He's got a good 4-pitch mix. He had a good year in the majors last year. It was under I thought I was reading Chase Silseth, but he still had a good year in the minor or majors last year for his first year. I think he's got more in the tank to take another step forward. I don't think he's like ace upside kind of stuff, but certainly a good mid to back end starter. At pick 270, you can't beat that at that price. Just again, the only thing is he's in a bad park. So just if you're going to take him, maybe he's one. If they're in Cincinnati and they're playing a good offense, I might sit him that day or something. But Andrew Abbott is certainly one that I am going after.
yeah, I have two that are the same, pretty similar. One, I mean, ADP, they're very far apart, but two Red Sox actually. And my first one is at pick 226, Brian Bello. I think,
Brian
and I don't know,
Bayo.
I knew I wasn't going to pronounce that name correctly.
That's okay. Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of Red Sox games, but I know that this kid
Obviously,
just signed a new.
maybe you just like you're intentionally digging because it's the Red Sox. That's all it was.
No, I think again. Remember how I told you pronounce Juan Soto, who hit another 500-foot bomb today? Which
I know, I love it.
yeah, you drafted him.
I know.
You drafted Juan Soto. Like you
Yeah.
talked like, I don't know, and then you drafted him.
I almost went Kyle Tucker. But
No,
I
you
was
didn't.
like,
You went. You were knew
didn't.
you were going Juan Soto, and you were just deceiving me.
No, Tucker was up there. He was in my queue. But anyways, go ahead.
But Juan, I love the pick because I think he's going to be great this year. So I can't fault you for that. Either way, I'm not good with the names that are. I just I read what I see. And that's all. Very simple like that.
Brian Bayo. Yeah. So why is he a sleeper for you?
He just signed that contract. I think that shows the Red Sox are confident in him. I think he is trending in the right direction. I think he's going to pitch more innings this year. I think he's going to turn into. I think this is the year he breaks out and becomes the ace of that staff, if I'm being quite honest. And so that is my pick. 226. Again, you're talking like pretty late for an ace for a guy who's going to be a number one pitcher on his team. And not a ton of stats behind it. Just this feeling that I have that the Red Sox always find a way to do this where they sign this guy, a young kid, to a contract, and all of a sudden he's going to turn into a superstar. Just watch.
I hope so.
Everyone's going to know the name Bayo by the end of this.
His K rate is a little bit too low. He definitely improved his walk rate, which I think is good last year, but
he's a sleeper. I'm not saying he's going to be like this great pitcher.
Sure, right. No, yeah, definitely at that price. I think it's a good pick. I'm a huge Bayo guy. I drafted him a lot last year. Hope he does it again this year.
I think he'll be better this year than he was last year.
Yeah, I think so too. So my next one, I mentioned him earlier briefly, is Chase Silseth at pick 397. He is a pitcher for the Los Angeles Angels.
Which in our league, by the way, because the slow draft will be in 6 months from now.
I don't even think we'll get to pick 400. I have to do the math. I don't remember. But Chase Silseth is one still to watch out for if you don't draft him, or maybe he's like, one of your last.
Does the drafts have a hard date that it becomes not a slow draft?
We will do so as we get closer. I want to say probably within once we get to half of a week or 5 days before the season starts. If we're still very far out, I'm going to shorten the clock I'm going to cut the clock in half or something like that.
Imagine you're consuming this content in the short clips and not watching the full long episodes.
They'll be a little confusing. Yeah.
Confusing.
So Chase Silseth is my sleeper here. He was very clearly rushed to the majors when we look at 2022. He did not have a good start. I don't know what the deal with the Angels doing that is. Like Shanwell was rushed to the majors. Zach Neto. I mean, the guys perform for the most part, but Chase Silseth was one who did not. But last year, he had a good year. He was sub 4 ERA, good, check, and a 25% strikeout rate, check. And everything in the underlying numbers backs it up. He has good whiff percentages. So I don't see why Chase Silseth doesn't go higher. I really don't. Maybe it's the Angels bias because they're just a dumpster fire right now. And just nobody's really known on that team other than Anthony Rendon, who's spewing nonsense. I don't know. We don't need to talk
What
about
about
that.
Mike Trout?
I know Mike Trout.
I think
right.
you should take Mike Trout as your next pick. I think it's a good value spot for him.
I need an arm.
Yeah, you do.
But anyways, so yeah, I think Chase Silseth is a steal at 397.
All right, that's a good pick. My other pick is a guy who struggled last year, but he's turning 27. 364 is his ADP, so again, really late. And I think he could also have a breakout year, and that's Garrett Whitlock. I think I pronounced that one correctly. In our league, also, if he ends up in that Michael King role where he's starting some games, then relieving some games, and he could get saves, he could get holds, he could get wins as a starting pitcher too. I think he could ultimately be a major weapon for them. With how baseball's played today, he's a guy who could start, pitch 5 innings one day, and then 3 days later come out and pitch 2 innings out of the bullpen and get a save or get a hold. You know, I think the Red Sox want to use him in that way. I love Alex Cora as a manager. I think he's a great manager. And I think he'll find creative, fun ways to use Whitlock this year and really get the most out of him in his age 27 season. Again, deep sleeper, 364. I'm not saying he's going to be one of the top pitchers in the league, but Baker Mayfield is back to the Tampa Bay Bucks per source, according to Ian Rappaport. By the time you hear this, that'll be old news. But Garrett Whitlock, I think, is going to be I think he's going to be very valuable for whoever drafts him or picks him off waivers, really late.
Yeah, and his value definitely took a jump up once Giolito was announced to be out. So
he looks great in spring. I know we talk about it, but did you see his stuff moving today? Some of the videos that were coming out on like Pitching Ninja and stuff. He was throwing this 2-seam fastball that was just all over the place. Beautiful. I did like a hand motion
for people who are listening. Yeah. My last sleeper is one that I don't know how to feel about, to be honest, but I'm calling him a sleeper because he has the potential to jump up and return top 150 value at pick 506. He's currently going at pick 506. Maybe 150 is a little high.
He couldn't possibly be a sleeper at pick 506.
Either way, his name is Joe Boyle. And so Who does
Joe Boyle play for?
Joe Boyle plays for the Oakland Athletics.
Oh,
so
cool.
Another dumpster fire of an organization, right?
Yeah, but they might just throw him out there for 7 innings at a time because they have nothing to lose.
Well, exactly. And so he's got a rotation spot, which is great. The problem, though, and some of these numbers are absolutely atrocious. He walked guys in the minor leagues. Are you ready? So an average, like middling walk rate is about 9-10%. Like that's where it's like, okay, you're starting to get into like the red flag area once you get into double digits. He was walking guys at a 16% rate in the minor leagues.
Oh God,
which is atrocious. Like that's almost horrible.
Blake Snell levels.
It's worse than Blake Snell levels. I mean, right? So
yeah,
which is weird for me to be wanting a guy like that. But the reason why I maybe bought in is because in his first 2 starts in spring training, he did not walk a single batter. And the reason why I'm betting on him is because his stuff is huge. He's got a good fastball. All of his pitches are phenomenal. He's got great stuff, very similar to Blake Snell in that sense of like, he just walks too many guys. So if that walk rate, I know it's a huge ask to drop 5-6 points, but even if it's 10, 11, 12 at pick 500, that's great value. I think he's going to be a sleeper. Again, the A's, I don't know what to really expect from them. I mean, I know what to expect. It's not going to be good, but as far as how they're going to use their pitchers, but I don't think they're going to baby Joe Boyle. I think he's just going to go out there. They're going to say, throw as much as you want, as much as you can. And we're just going to, see what we can get. So I like Joe Boyle at this price. But if the walks do start getting out of hand, you're not losing much. Pick 500, just drop him. So
exactly,
to watch
and
out for.
that's what we're talking about. That's what sleepers are. It's those guys that we said risky business before. This is low risk because of what you're, potentially giving up, and high reward, hopefully. And that's what we're trying to help you with here.